Party.
Slick Nick McClelland comes out swinging and finally writes a document that doesn't look like something that one of my students wrote. Welcome. We are True Crime and Wine Couple. Today we're going to be talking about two recent filings in the Delphi case. Please be aware that when we talk about Delphi, we get a little bit unhinged and we're not true to our usual format. We in no way support anything that does not result in the conviction of the person who did this terrible crime or persons, and we want justice for these girls, and that is the reason why we follow this case and report on it, because we feel strongly about justice for these girls. It's 7 years later, it's time. So the state filed a memorandum in support of contemptuous conduct against Bradley Rosie and Andy Baldwin. This was just recently filed, and it was filed, I believe, 2 days ago. Of course, I got all the notes about it, but I didn't get the date. So the motion says that the deception of Andy Baldwin and Bradley Rosie began in 11 of 2022, which if you follow the case, you would know is the month after Richard Allen got arrested, when they told the court a gag order would not be necessary for the case. And then they went and had a press conference within the week and a press release. So was that deceptive? I guess we'll find out in court, or when they're sentenced.
So there was no gag order.
There was no gag order.
So
but
if they couldn't have violated a non-existent gag order.
This is true, but they also told the court that one wasn't necessary according to this filing. So the next act of indiscretion, according to this motion, was an undated email from Andy Baldwin to Brandon Woodhouse, which released discovery information to a member of the public who then disseminated the information. The court claims they hid their error from the state. Now, that was not the main issue. That was information that they said wasn't as, as graphic as the crime scene photos. So but it was leaked. And they said that only.
But according to Baldwin, it was a mistake.
According to Baldwin,
it was done in error. He was
right.
I guess this guy was one of his former clients, and he just got looped into the.
And we should probably note that the prosecution does this kind of stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. But when the defense does it, then they want to hold them in contempt. But anyway. In Delphi. So the state also claims the defense intentionally leaked the information from the crime scene photos, and that's the big thing that they're accused of, and protected discovery. And we know that Mitch Westerman is the man who is going on trial for leaking the photos to a man named Robert Fortson. And the state claims the leak was a deliberate attempt to gauge the public's response to their defense strategy. So if they didn't like the defense strategy, the public didn't like it, they could find if there was a need to pivot the strategy for Baldwin and Rosie.
This is the most ridiculous waste of time in the history of the courts.
And the state also claims that the defense altered the information about Mitch Westerman's involvement. So that is what the state is claiming holds Baldwin and Rosie in contempt of court.
Right, but this Westerman dude is the one that, I'm going to say snuck, but I don't think he snuck in the office, but he was in the office wandering around,
right, and
just on his own volition decided to, I'm going to take some snapshots of these pictures and then the
state claims this was intentionally done.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Because think about it. Those photos are not going to do anything for the defense. They're horrific.
Right.
I mean, we haven't seen them, but they're horrific. They're two dead girls. So that's not going to curry favor with the public for the defense. That's going to rile them up and make them more angry. That's something that the prosecution would do.
Okay.
And has done, not in this case. Well, in this case, yes, too. But that's something the prosecution normally does to. Again,
but what I'm thinking is, if they're going with the Odin angle, not that I agree with the state, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If they're going with the Odin angle and they leak those photos and those photos look like a ritualistic sacrifice, that could garner support for their theory. if you were to see those photos and think
Yeah,
that.
but the jury's going to see the photos anyway.
Right. And sadly, those photos were leaked as late as March 28th by 2 podcasters. One showed the whole photo. His account is now taken down, but of course he's up and under another name and doing another live. We're not going to say who that is if you want to go look on Reddit, and you can find all that stuff on Reddit. And then there was another person who showed it partial with a vinyl with an oil painting. So that person
Those people are just sick.
They got doxxed.
Yeah, they should be arrested or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, how desperate are you for views? Well, and Zav Girl did it too, with the photos of Gannon Stauch, and I'm surprised her channel still is going strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, obviously,
there's just some lines you don't cross.
Yeah, and these are children.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the problem, and so is Gannon Stauch. So. Her following continued. I don't know how, but it did. So anyway, I guess when you have a following, you have a following, right? Okay, and then the second thing filed was today. This came out, I believe it was late last night or yesterday, the state's response to the third motion for a Franks hearing. Okay, so the state, so they wanted to, Baldwin and Rosie wanted to have another Franks hearing for Richard Allen's defense. So the state is asking to deny the motion without having the hearing, okay? And this document actually, I think Dana wrote it. I don't think McClelland wrote it, because everything we've seen from McClelland,
it's been like a third grader wrote it.
It doesn't have any case law. It doesn't cite anything.
It's just a bunch of whiny nonsense.
I mean, it's a lot easier to read than all the legal documents, because the legal documents are tough to read. I mean, I read that 81-page transcript of the March 18th hearing. I mean, and that's crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's never any. It's like reading a story to my students.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay. So then, what they claim. So here's what the defense is claiming. The defense is claiming that there's geofencing, which is cell phone pings, basically. And there was 3 phones that pinged in the area at the time of the crime, and none of those phones was Richard Allen.
Right.
Okay, so the problem with geofencing, from what I'm understanding through my extensive research today, and also from my knowledge that I gained from watching the Murder Sheet, which, oh Lord, I listen to the Murder Sheet so you don't have to. It's painful. It's painful. I'm like, if they didn't have good info, I wouldn't listen to them. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So, I guess the phone can ping near the area. So, and Delphi, and I guess in rural areas it's even worse. So okay, let's say Anthony Greeno, a popular YouTuber who True Crime Investigates, he lives right in the area, right? So maybe his cell phone was on. That's what McClelland's claiming. I know a little bit about geofencing. And I do believe that what they're saying is correct. I do believe that it doesn't really prove that the cell phone was right there. I don't think it's an exact science.
With this.
Okay.
Regardless of whatever.
Right.
This was known back in 2017. What did law enforcement do with that information? Absolutely nothing, because we don't know whose phones they were. If they would have done even a little bit of investigating, we would at least know whose phones they were. They could have went and interviewed those people. Did you see anything? Were you in the area? Blah, blah, blah. And then there would be a record. Okay, these phones had nothing to do with the murder. But now, here we are 7 years later. Nobody knows anything about these phones other than 3 phones pinged. And everybody's like, well, it didn't happen. Well, how do you know? You didn't even investigate it.
Well, here's another thing, too, that proves your point, or, backs up your point. I don't know if there's any proving it, but if you read the 82-page record, by the way, the Unraveling posted it. You can get that on Reddit if you want. The record of the motion, the contempt of court hearing. It's just amazing what they didn't do and how much time passed.
Yeah.
And how many things were just not investigated. And, my whole theory of the case has changed. My theory is that it's Brad Holder and he's running some kind of weird operation and everybody's scared to death of him. But I just don't understand how they did nothing. And then when Ferenczi died, the whole thing stopped.
Yeah.
The whole investigation stopped. It was insane. If you follow it, you know what we're talking about. So that's the geofencing. So then the motion also says there is no Franks hearing because, okay, so here's McClelland's reasons, which I think Dina wrote, but that's, anyway. The defense did not show there was inaccurate info regarding Tony Liggett concealing 3 phones which were found in and around the area at the time of the murders, and they're basically saying that the defense does not understand geofencing data and cannot interpret geofencing data. So that's the first thing. So basically, like, you're idiots, this proves nothing, you don't know geofencing. What
were the numbers, who owned the phones, and what were they doing?
That did not...
It's only 3, it's not like it was 3, it's not like you're in the middle of Manhattan and 3 million phones are pinging, it's 3 phones.
Yeah. But as
Track
you
them
know,
down and interview.
there is no transparency in the Delphi case. I mean, they're not going to televise the trial, and a sequestered jury. I don't remember the last time a jury was sequestered. Maybe Scott Peterson's trial? Like, I can't even remember.
No.
I'd have to look that up. I should have. Okay, so then there was another, the second reason was the Odinism expert, which was Professor Thurko, okay? But they said that what the defense claims that he was stating in his deposition, that there was no, so basically they interviewed him and he said that he couldn't rule out Odinism in the beginning. And then they re-interviewed him again and he gave a deposition and he said that, you know, there was no conclusive sacrificial evidence available in this crime. So basically, they're claiming he said one thing, and, you know, the defense is claiming he said one thing, and then the prosecution is claiming he said something else. Okay? And he debunked all the defense's statements. So they're basically saying that the defense lied about Professor Thurko's testimony in his Odinism report.
Now, this isn't the professor that originally was helping law enforcement back in 2017.
Yes, this is him.
So they found him.
Yes,
They
found him.
figured out who he was, found him, and now he's retestifying.
Mm-hmm.
Something different than what he stated.
Well, he's not retestifying. He gave a he was later on. He was interviewed. I believe it was 2021, and that was when he had a deposition, and there were 3 interviews according to what it said. So take that for what you will. That's what McClelland is claiming. And then Nick McClelland asked the court to find that the defense did not meet its burden to warrant a Franks hearing. So basically, they're lying and they don't know jack.
Well, they're not going to, I don't even know why they waste their time requesting stuff, because they're not going to get it.
Well, and that's interesting because Gull finally approved now getting Richard Allen's mental health records. And then see, I thought that they were going to claim that, to me it would be smarter, and he and I disagree about this, to me it would be smarter to claim that he confessed because of the conditions he was being kept under. He confessed under duress. But now they don't, but that's not what they're claiming.
No,
they're going to claim,
right, and I think they should stick with their original claim that he was coerced, he was threatened, and that would go along with the statements from his wife and his mom,
right,
where every time, and even the prison
right,
phones, every time he called, he was like, is everybody okay?
That's true, yeah.
Is anybody hurt? You know, he was really concerned about their well-being, and that would lead you to believe that he's being threatened.
But that also could mean auditory hallucinations or visual hallucinations. That
it could be, but it all goes along with
too.
it all goes along with their defense, though.
Right.
Especially when you have the prison guards that are Odins.
Right.
They have face tattoos. They had the patches. The warden. I mean, the whole prison was overrun by Odin people.
And they themselves testified that they were wearing the patches.
And as soon as the dude was like, "All right, I can't wear the patch. Screw you! I'm going to tattoo it on my face."
Well, that's what Libredo claimed, right? Libredo, yeah. So, as usual, nothing makes any sense. It's just insane. So they're the 2 latest Delphi memorandums that came out. Another interesting thing is that a lot of members of the public have been writing letters to Fran Gull, and she's had to catalog these into the case. And they basically, people are not happy that this will not be televised. They want it televised. And I think there's two reasons for that. I think a lot of people, well, I think there's three. People are nosy, like myself, I want to see it. That's why I'm going there, because I know it's not going to be televised for at least the beginning of it. Two, I think it would definitely show a lot of transparency, because there has been no transparency in this case.
Zero.
And then three, the podcasters want to put the live trial on their channel.
Right.
You know, that's what a lot of these channels do. So like Court TV will put it up, WTHR would have put it up, and then a bunch of these podcasters would have had, you know, live commentary and live watching the trials.
Right.
You know, so that's gonna, you know, that would be a lot of money for a lot of, you know, podcasters, especially since Delphi has a ton of little tiny channels, you know, that popped up because of the Delphi murders.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they would all, you know, with under 10,000 subscribers, most of them, and they would all love to just, you know, have the trial.
Right.
Have a live stream of the trial. So.
No, the last thing she wants is this to be televised, because there's so much screwy stuff going on. She doesn't want to.
No, but to me, she should take it to Idaho.
And plus, they're charging so much money for those transcripts. Think about how much money they're going to make off the transcripts.
It's ridiculous what they're charging.
Yeah, was it $15 a page? I think.
According to Bob Mata, they wanted like $2,000
Yes,
for it. That was that 81-page one,
right.
I think. I don't know who. I think the Unraveling might have paid for that.
Yeah, so that's about $15 a page.
Yeah, so that's insane. It's absolutely insane. You know, so. So that is what's currently going on in Delphi. We've got about a month and a week or two to go to the trial. So, if a lot of the experts do not think that this is going down on May 13th.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that on the murder sheet today. Anya is not convinced that it's going down on time. So I don't know what she knows, but they seem to have the inside track with the prosecution.
I don't see how they can back out of it, because they filed that motion,
I know.
which forced her into the speedy trial, and now she has it on her calendar. There's
Yes.
no excuse not to have it on
And
the
she
calendar.
did declare that all the jury questionnaires were out.
Yeah, so I don't see any way to get out of it at this point.
And I don't think a jury's going to be difficult to find for this. I mean, the Chad Daybell case is going on now, and they're like, oh boy, getting a juror for that one is that's been crazy. They're on day 4 of it and still
Right.
don't have enough people, because of the publicity with that case. But that got so much more publicity than Delphi. That got a ton of publicity, so. Yeah, well, Delphi just doesn't seem to get the. It only seems to be locals interested in Delphi.
Yeah, it really doesn't. You don't see it on the national news. You don't see it really anywhere.
Even the major channels that cover it, like Crime Talk, it'll be a blurb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Scott Reich will do a blurb on it every night or whatever. And then they're on to Brian Koberger, or now Chad Daybell's the big thing.
Right.
So the Idaho trial is the big deal now. So that's what's going on in Delphi. Like we said, we watched the murder. I listened to the murder sheet, so you don't have to. He won't. It's insane, and I don't know who to believe. I know you're skewed toward the defense, right?
Yes, until they can present something, anything. Give me something. They have nothing at this point. Now they very well may have something that we don't know about, and that great.
And that's still such a weak probable cause affidavit.
That probable cause affidavit.
Now they're saying though, there was another thing I saw too, another tip, was that the prosecution is going to have a DNA expert and a cell phone record expert. So I don't understand that, because everybody says there's no DNA. In fact, the only DNA should have come from Elvis.
From Elvis.
And that was listening to a live the other night, and Sleuthy Goosey said, I don't understand how that wasn't warrantable.
No.
Like, if I spit on the girls, would I get in trouble?
If I have a good explanation.
Like, warrant, here we come.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know.
It's just amazing to me what hasn't been done in this case. That whole Brad Holder angle was completely extinguished almost immediately. So
Right.
either he is connected somehow. It just doesn't make any sense. And then all of the stuff was magically erased. All the interviews were magically erased. There's just something
I think this
that's
is
not
bigger
right.
than that little tiny town. There's something major going on here.
I mean, and if you can go down the rabbit holes and you can find connections here, connections there.
Everybody's related to everybody.
And then there's the Masonic. It seems like there's a Masonic angle.
Yes.
A lot of these people are Freemasons.
There was a MAGA angle.
There was a MAGA
Because
angle.
there was some rally where
Yeah.
this one white supremacist group met up with the Odinists at a MAGA rally.
I mean, for such a small town, there's just so many different angles to it. But for them all just to be shut down immediately just doesn't seem right.
They did nothing. Once Ferenczi died, that was it.
Well, no, they stopped doing stuff. They were the only three that were pursuing that, and they were sort of going rogue.
Yeah.
The rest of Unified Command had totally gotten off of that angle almost immediately, but those three kept pursuing it, but they weren't really taken seriously.
And there's so much stuff, if you read that document, I mean, you know, it's just too much to cover.
Yeah.
An 82,
Oh, yeah.
for our channel, an 82-page document, you know. But it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like, you read it and you're just outraged. Like, why did they stop the investigation? There was a very long explanation of how the tapes were taped over. It did seem a lot less nefarious when I read that.
No.
They had switched to a new program. It kept running different. And wait to hear this. All different organizations were using that room where they were taping the stuff. So who knows how it got tampered with that way either.
I mean, it is so bad. You can't figure out, is it incompetence? Is it conspiracy? Is it legit? There's no way to know.
Now I have to say that when I read the transcript, I do believe that Gull is going to be more fair than I thought.
Should I tell my theory?
Yeah, she did make some calls for Baldwin, I have to say. She did, but she did seem to be prejudiced on the side of Diener. But go ahead.
Yeah, I have a new theory about the whole Judge Gull thing and why she sides with the prosecution all the time. I think her and Slick Nick are having an affair. That's my new theory.
That would definitely be a made-to-suffer romance. I think he's in his 40s and she's in her 60s, right?
I think that's what's going on. Yeah.
I mean, if they are, you go, girl, but it's boogering up the trial,
Yeah.
you know, so.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
And that's not us making light of it, but hey, and with this, you never know.
You never know, exactly.
I mean, they could all be, you know, she and Nick could be part of some Odinist swinger group that, you know, I mean, is going through Delphi. Who the hell knows, you know? All I'm saying is that, we live here and we have no contacts with anybody. Apparently, if we lived in Delphi, we would have contacts with,
Yes.
well, yeah, you're a Mason, right? Well, you can't
Mhm.
say it, never mind, that's secret. But yeah, so you would be involved in all this wacky stuff too. But anyway, that's, yeah, I just outed you, sorry. Well, you can edit that if you need to. So that's what's going on in Delphi. Do you think a lot more stuff will happen before the trial? Or do you think it's going to get crazier, or do you think this is it?
I think this is it.
You think this
Because
is it?
there's really not enough time for really anything else to be done. She has to come out with her contempt.
I think she's going to toss him in jail, but after the trial. What do you think?
I think she's just going to fine them. But,
think just fine them?
Yeah, but all right, 30 days in jail after the trial's over.
I don't think 30. I
Yeah.
think 10. I think just to be just to stick it to him.
Well, she doesn't like them, so that's possible.
Yeah. And you know what? Today on Reddit, usually either it's mixed, but today on Reddit, everybody was against them. I was surprised.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of the lawyers in this are very good. At least they don't seem to be.
Like I said, I think Diener wrote the doc. It definitely looks a lot better than McLeod's. I don't even know if the Jew couldn't write a document.
No, his filings are embarrassing.
And then really, we only have the transcript of her testimony. We don't have any transcript. So anyway, that's what we have in Delphi for today. Feel free to read the docs. Feel free to watch some podcasters, some videos. If you would like us to do a deep dive into the 82-page document that Peter didn't want to do, leave us a message, leave us a comment, send us an email, and then I'm going to make Peter do it, since I read it all. I read all 82 pages, so if you want to hear that, let me know. And then now, the cider. Today we're having cider because, I don't know, it's after dinner and I thought I'd have
a little bit different today. We're doing the cider, but we were at Hardball Cider over the weekend, and we were wandering around the property, and we saw it was like a moving rental truck from Indiana. Like, oh, we should do a Delphi thing and tie it into Hardball. So I took some video of the property. I'm just going to play that over this. So
we got questioned when we were videotaping the Indiana license plate. We had to explain to a woman who had no idea what the hell we were talking about.
Yeah, she thought we were crazy.
Why we were filming the license plate.
So enjoy. I'm just gonna. I'll just play the video.
So enjoy some footage of Hardball Cider. And today we're having
We are having Hey Blue, which is the blueberry cider. I think this is their best one.
It's a little tart, a little sweet. It's got a nice, the tartness of the blueberry cuts the sweetness of the cider. It's perfect.
Yeah, and you think that this is going to be super sweet, and it's really not.
None of their ciders are that sweet. Only if they have like the dessert ones. Like they have a caramel one that was pretty sweet, right?
And that, remember a couple. The chocolate one they did a couple Christmases ago.
We got the growler of that.
Yeah,
that was good too.
That was
very chocolatey. Yeah. So enjoy the footage, and like I said, hit us up if you want to hear more about Delphi, and if you want to hear about any topic, leave us a comment. Send us an email. We want to cover what you want to watch, and we try to figure it out. And we would much rather not figure out what you want to watch and just hear from you, and it would make our lives easier. So, since we have real jobs,
yes,
we're not just YouTubers. Although, not that YouTube isn't a real job. We have other jobs.
We have other jobs. Yes.
We are a true crime and wine couple, and we'll catch you in the next video.